Hey, what's up, brother?
JC, what's up, man?
What's up? Dude, I like the fit.
Happy quarantine, man.
Yeah, right.
Jeez,
Happy quarantine, Easter, Passover.
I know everything, right? Yeah, it's like I even forgot it was Easter till like yesterday.
I think a lot of people did. It's going to be interesting because I grew up in church, and the two biggest church days of the year are
I
Christmas and
know,
Easter.
I know.
So I'm glad we're doing this interview today and not tomorrow because the whole internet's just going to be streaming of church services,
Yeah, yeah,
which is good. Which is good. They've
hmm
already kind of been doing that, so they were adapted to this already. But
yeah. It's like you have to adapt, man. Like
for sure.
that's everything right now.
How are you, man? Good to see you.
Yeah, you too, man. Yeah, just living with everything, It's affected everybody.
Yeah,
It's
for
affected
sure.
everybody, and just being aware of the perspectives that can happen and the
Yeah,
opportunities that are sitting in front of us too. I mean,
yeah. Just
um,
move
yeah.
the phone just a little bit, I think, to your right side. Because the comments are on the left side of the screen, so that way you can see your face more. There you go.
Okay,
Perfect,
cool,
perfect,
cool, cool.
perfect. We want to see that pretty mug.
Yeah, yay.
I like those glasses, man. Hey,
Thanks, man.
so obviously we've been friends a couple years now. I think the first time we met, I heard you speak at an event years ago, and then obviously we got closer after that. But for those that don't know, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your story. Yeah, where'd you grow up? How'd you get where you are?
How did I get where I am is just a lot of experiences and a lot of messing up, bro. A lot of messing up, a lot of learning lessons along the way. That's how I'm sitting here in this moment, sitting in this garden, you know what I'm saying? Like up to
Yeah.
this point, because I've been able to pick myself back up when shit hits the fan. And
Yeah.
I lived in Tulare County most of my life. I went off
Okay.
and went to college in New Mexico. Um,
And that
I
was that was for soccer, right?
for well, I was
Or
a
for
place
football.
kicker. Yeah, yeah, I
That's
played
right.
football. Yeah,
Yeah, no, tell us about growing up playing
yeah,
sports. Like, give us the whole story.
yeah, man. It was that's my life was just my family's life was very Brady Bunch like, just going every single day, dude, doing something. And we had a lot of kids in our house. We had four siblings, but also my parents would always have people live with us. We always had
Okay.
foster kids live with us, and friends live with us, and
We we
uncles
were-
live
we
with
were kind
us.
of like
And
that too. Yeah, we were kind
yeah,
of like that
so
too.
so
Yeah.
we just grew up in a very loving. My mom is like a saint. She goes to church all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
she's yeah. So in my dad is kind of the educator. He's the teacher. Humble beginnings, man. Just super humble beginnings. My mom and dad are still married after 43 years or something like
Wow.
that. And just
Wow.
my dad's it's a Jewish man married a Mexican Catholic woman. Like what?
That's
Like,
awesome.
yeah. So for me to even be here, that's Gary Vee says 300 trillion to one or something like that. So it's
That's
pretty,
awesome.
yeah. So,
That's awesome.
humble beginnings, played lots of sports, and then started weightlifting and stuff in high school, like like most football players, and and that was still mid '90s, right? It wasn't
And
super
you were
huge
pretty
yet.
serious about soccer too, right?
Yeah, yeah. Soccer was definitely I mean, I started playing soccer at 5 and grew up playing soccer all the way up till, I mean, I played men's league in my early 20s even. And then I even played last summer. So I've played soccer a lot of
Yeah, yeah,
years.
yeah.
But my soccer skill kind of got me to a football field because I found out that I could kick a ball, and a football was something that was placed in front of me, and
Yeah.
I took that skill as far as I could. I kicked in high school, kicked in junior college, kicked in arena football. I had a couple NFL
Nice.
tryouts, and just tried as best as I could. And
Yeah.
eventually, it was time to move into the real world, which I then moved on journeys, but. That was a fun part of my life, man.
Yeah, I bet.
Shit.
So when you
Yeah.
when you when you played college ball, what was the name of your college?
New Mexico Highlands University.
Nice. How'd you like it out
So,
there? Being from California, how was it
yeah.
going to the
I
desert?
mean, it was literally Las Vegas, New Mexico. So,
Okay.
um, small little town. When college isn't into town, it's a towny town,
Yeah. Is there
And that,
aliens
I
out there?
mean,
How?
basically.
I
But
remember, so randomly have some family connect. So on my mom's side, some of my relatives are from like Oklahoma. My mom was, white American mixed European, and then my dad's family's from Mexico. Actually born in Las Cruces, and so we have this weird connection like with the Southwest. And I remember one time driving from Colorado. I mean, at like the very southern point of Colorado near New Mexico, and just listening to some like alien or something podcast. And you just feel it when you're out there. There's a lot of Air Force bases. You're just like, I don't know. The stars are like right there on you because there's no
yeah.
city lights. You know what I mean? So, how'd you like being in New Mexico?
Well, what I was gonna say too, it's like to know New Mexico now in the state that I am in personally and spiritually and emotionally and mentally and all that, I would have really loved it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When I was in college, I was a dumbass, dude. You know what I'm saying? I was fucking drinking every night
Of
and
course.
smoking lots of weed and just, and I was still
Typical.
being,
Yeah,
yeah, I was the kicker and having fun.
yeah.
So, but to be in the state now, I would love to go back because it's beautiful country there. It's up in the hills. There's hiking. There's, natural hot tubs and stuff like that. Like a lot of a cool territory that we barely tasted, in
Right, right.
college.
I know, mostly just
So
house parties, which you could have done anywhere, right?
I know. So
Might as well
yeah,
been a garage in my ceiling.
jeez, come on, Justin.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's all good,
But
bro.
yeah,
We all
yeah.
do it.
Uh-huh.
So after college, and you did arena football for a little while, and then what was the pivot after that?
It was that was an interesting time in my life because I had to figure out how to be like live life without football. Because even during arena football, I had a part-time personal training job, but I wasn't yet. I thought I was going to go play at least arena football one, which you're making now like 60 grand versus $250 a check for arena football two, which not paying any bills. So I thought I was going to get there. I was getting a lot of tryouts, but I just didn't get the opportunity. And then I was doing some personal training and at a local gym in my hometown, and was kind of presented an idea to open up my own gym. And after some thought and some kind of writing out some thoughts and some plans, then I said, let's go. And football's over, and now I'm going to take on this new venture. And that's when I opened up California Fitness Academy. And
Yeah.
that was in August of 2006.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, I was a young fitness coach. I loved fitness. I loved coaching. I started the business by myself. I had nobody working for
It was
me.
an awesome facility. Awesome
Thank you.
facility.
And
Yeah,
even
yeah.
before what you saw, it was a small office space that was the size of my porch. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
okay. Nice.
So, but there was just things I learned from that, I take with me now. But yeah, and then just built this enterprise of a gym. Pretty
Nice.
much was one of the biggest training gyms in this local area.
Well,
And
you were kind of ahead of the curve because there was like, there was gyms like Gold's Gym, right, which is classic. That's more for like bodybuilders, serious weightlifters. And then there was like 24-hour fitness, which became, I mean, there was a bunch of big box gyms that came out in the 90s that got super popular and franchises, but there wasn't really the more like warehouse circuit training type gyms that are now like everywhere. That wasn't really popular 10, 15 years ago. To talk about how like you just approached that whole dynamic differently than maybe just having a regular gym like a 24-hour fitness or something like that.
sure, and even CrossFit really hit hard in about 2008. So
Okay.
about 2008, we started seeing a lot of industrial type buildings
Right.
be put up that were CrossFit type training facilities. So they made it more like their total impact as a franchise were a bigger hit to the industry than California Fitness Academy. But within this area, I was definitely like, because I didn't have an industrial spot yet, right? I had a small little functional training studio where I made it what we did, but I should have started in the bigger box,
Mm.
light industrial type building at the beginning, because in terms of just expenses and efficiency and all of that, that would have made much more sense. But you learn by doing. 5 years after I had this little medical building, then I moved on to the industrial building where I got 6,500 feet. It was, $1 a square foot versus 225 a square foot. I was able to, like, I went from 65 members to 150 members within like a year.
Well,
And because we were running things well, we had a great internship program which brought passionate, energized, proactive young people
yeah.
into the loop to where I could teach them how to coach. And then the system was
And
to
you
then,
were training like local high school sports teams and things like that too, yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I was training. Our demographic was pretty broad because there was nothing else in town like it. And
Right.
then right about 2008, again, it's kind of in that CrossFit time, you started seeing more training, hybrid type facilities starting to pop up. And I have a good friend, and he's a commercial real estate guy, and he would always send me like the site plan review list of, hey, another one's coming up. And because I told him in 2006, I told him, just wait,
Yeah.
this is going to
Yeah. Yeah.
happen,
Are you
and
talking about
even,
Big Rich?
what's that?
You talking about Big Rich? The realtor
No,
Rich?
it's another guy that I
Oh,
know, but
shout out to
we just,
Rich.
yeah, have those talks, but they just started popping up, and
Yeah.
even through my tenure at CFA, there was even coaches that moved on into opening up facilities, and those are always gray area situations. You sometimes don't know how to act in those situations because it is a testament to the mentorship and the coaching, but yet sometimes how you go about that is all weird. And
Yeah,
I had
for
to do
sure.
it. You know what I'm saying? I had to move away,
Yeah. Well,
but
that's what's interesting. So now, I mean, we met through Randy and through the financial world. And what I like about that model is that you can build a team, but it's always collaborative. So whereas like I'm also working in real estate, and in real estate, it's the same thing in fitness where you basically train your competition, right? So if you build a team and you train them well, then they think about, why don't I just do this on my own? Put up a shop across the street. So I do like the model better with WFG because you can build that team and where there's
within.
everyone, it's mutually beneficial.
Yeah,
Um,
that's where I go back to what could have I done a little different, and there could have been more of the model of independent contractors.
Maybe a
And
franchise model. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
but it is what it is there.
And it's tough when, speak to like people like yourself. Obviously, you've evolved as an author and a speaker and a coach, but then also running a business, being a parent, all that kind of stuff. Like, do you think looking back, would it have been better to maybe delegate or find a partner that could have run the business side, or did you also like doing that part too?
um I think there's a personal development with it all. So whether you have a partner or not, we all have to look in the mirror and figure out what's holding us back. And so just as of recent, bro, in the last 6 months, I've walked through muddy waters to
Yeah,
figure that shit out. And so I'm on my own personal journey,
yeah,
trying to dilute, get rid of the nonsense that I just don't need anymore because I held on to things the last 10 years.
yeah.
I resented people. I didn't know how to forgive. Deeper shit than just a fitness business in
Of
that. So
course.
I was stubborn. I probably didn't know how to express my emotions in a positive, constructive way, and so
Isn't it funny that and I appreciate you sharing that because I think we've been, very different circumstances, but similar journeys in the sense of the type of process that we've both been in, kind of parallel. I think mine maybe started a little bit earlier, and even now that everyone's had the craziest couple weeks of their life, it's been the craziest couple years. So honestly, as of course, I'm concerned for people's health. I'm concerned for people economically, but I'm also like, it's nothing new to me. I'm used to being isolated. I'm used to not knowing when the next check's coming. I'm used to like I don't know. I feel like entrepreneurs and people that have been in the grind and in the fire, so to speak, are not as fazed by what's happening right now because they're already doing it.
yeah, and that's part of just when we're faced with adversity, um, there's always going to be polarity. There's always going to be two sides of the coin of how to react in an extreme tough situation when stress is hitting. And I mean, when our parasympathetic nervous system goes into war with our sympathetic nervous system, how do we respond? How do we get up every day? How do our like our mindset is affected? So there could definitely be pivots right now and positive change and personal development if we're able to do the necessary things in the trenches in quiet. But there's also the side of the coin of where somebody's going to play the victim. That's sad.
Of
I'm
course.
empathetic to it too. It is real. It's
Right.
somebody lost a job and depressive thoughts are happening, and it is hard to
Right.
get up each day. And I can go back into doing something positive. Okay, start there. Like I've had
Right.
many days, bro, in the last 6 months where I had to just start with making my bed.
Yeah.
Like
Taking a
that's what I'm
shower.
starting with today because I'm going through
Yeah.
relationship
Yep.
warfare. I'm going through business warfare. I'm going
Right.
through a whole complete life movement, like way different. Like
Yeah.
yesterday I owned a gym. Today I go into a whole new journey and
Right.
I had to wake up numerous times where I just had to make my bed, number one. Number two, work out. That's a non-negotiable. Number three now is turned into meditation.
Awesome.
And those are just non-negotiables, and that's
Yeah.
at least gets the ball rolling into the movement that I can go now. If I can go from there and get a good nutritious meal in, or maybe I'm fasting, maybe I'm
Right.
strategically going about something, then I go get some work done. Now I'm snowballing. So at the end of the day, I just did 12 things to affect my trajectory. Now I'm getting out of that doldrum that I may have felt when I start doing that over and over and over again. Now, for me, and I want to continue with this because
Yeah.
I have one point.
Yeah.
I think we all have to look in the mirror and figure out the baggage, the shit that we hold on to that really blankets true potential. For me, it was alcohol, too much alcohol, where it was getting to be a habit of 3 to 7 drinks a night. And I was functional, I was fit. I just ran a 3:07 marathon, bro, in LA 6 weeks ago, like probably drinking who knows how many days in a row, at least 2 or 3 beers. You know what I'm saying? And some days were definitely more. And I
Yeah.
had to fucking figure this out the hard way. Okay. And I had to dig deep. I had to have these conversations with myself until one day I had to make the change, or I was starting to move this trajectory line a whole different direction. And so for me, I had to at least eliminate that
Yeah.
blanket. And once I did, like within 5 days, it was a transformation. And
I
so,
appreciate you because most people that have achieved as much as you've achieved, or that have the certifications, and take a minute to kind of talk about your resume, just so that people have context. But I appreciate that you're willing to be vulnerable and go through this process, because a lot of times trainers and coaches and speakers, there is that air of perfection. There is that, like, oh, I have it all figured out, read my book. And
mhm,
we know that that's not the case, right? So
mhm.
first of all, speak to your qualifications and certifications, just so that people understand that, you're not just some guy
Some
with an
guy.
opinion.
No,
But
for sure.
also, and I'm going to tell you this and we can get more into it, I think more so than your certifications and degrees and qualifications, which are impressive, is the fact that what you're going through now is going to complete that process. We're never totally complete, but you're going to be a better leader, father,
Hmm.
speaker, trainer,
Hmm.
because of the humbling, gut-wrenching situation you've been through this past year
Hmm.
than you
Hmm.
ever could by studying or
Right.
training.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Experience. Yeah.
talk about your resume, and then talk more
Well,
about
my,
that.
my number one certification is experience.
Yeah.
Experience is the best knowledge, and just being able to get back up. That's certifications, dude.
Yeah,
Is
for sure.
life. Like the more you race, the more you go to the personal development conference, the more books you read, the more podcasts you listen to. Those are all part of my resume, and I don't I'm never going to just write down all of the podcasts and books that I've read and listened to and all this
Yeah.
stuff. But I think wisdom can just showcase itself through the lens of whoever wants to listen to it,
And this
and
is, and I appreciate that, but this is coming from someone who actually has those. So talk, like, you
right.
have, what was
Yeah,
your
and
degree in?
I went to school. I have my degree in human performance and
Okay.
sports. So I
Okay.
have that degree.
And
I've
then on the
gone,
fitness side.
yeah, I've gone through numerous certification
Okay.
courses and continuing education workshops, just everything from general summits, like, where there's 20 different speakers speaking on the topics of human anatomy to metabolic efficiency to nutrition to performance enhancement to training the golfer to training the general fitness to running the business.
Mm.
I've gone to business workshops, same thing, fitness business workshops. Um, yeah, that's ongoing. Never
Right.
stop doing that.
So tell
And
us about
and then
your. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
and then I have a whole running resume and an endurance resume that
Yeah.
is there too, where I've done everything from the local 5K to I've ran multiple marathons. I've done an Ironman. One time I ran from the doorstep of my house in Visalia to Santa Monica. It was a
So
300 mile
talk
run.
about that. That's what I wanted to get into. You did the 300-mile run and you made a documentary, and that's kind of the essence of your book. So tell us about that story, how it came to be.
Sure, it was just proving the message that anything is possible. And um, I see a lot of it. We limit ourselves. We self-destruct ourselves in our own thinking, and it affects our mentality, it affects our growth, it affects our movement forward. And so I just had kind of a light bulb hit me where, well, I need to do something, and my brother's a filmmaker, and let's get him on board, and
Shout out
let's
to
kind of,
Josh. Shout out
yep,
to
shout
Josh.
out optics, yep. And I wanted to get him on board, and so he was like, well, if you do this, then I'm going to film it. And we were just drinking a couple beers, bro, and I was like, well, what if I run to Los Angeles? And he's like, is that possible? And I was like, well, yeah, that's the whole point of it. So then I just had to we went through the ranks. This is in January of 2011, excuse me, 2012. And we then put it on the calendar to run in October 2012. And we had a whole committee. We made brochures. We had a logo. We had a website. We had a Facebook page. We did it the right way. We got sponsorships. We raised, $18,000 for this project. A couple thousand goes to the project, and then we had about $16,000 left over to give to the team and training group here locally, and so that was cool. And then
I don't think people understand. You ran from Visalia, California, which is just south of Fresno, to
yep,
Santa Monica.
yeah, it was 12 marathons in 4 days. Yep.
That's insane. I'm like happy if
Hmm.
I can do a couple miles on a treadmill.
Right, and you should be. Don't go do what I do.
So, how did you prepare, just from a tactical perspective? What was your training like getting ready for that?
60 to 100 mile running, like time on feet, running miles, walking miles, most of it running, just soft running, nothing hard, just putting in the work, running. And that's running 6 to 10 hours a week. And that was
Jeez.
huge. And then I did a lot of strength training. I'm always doing strength training and keeping my body mobile and, my joints happy. And I don't crush my body though. I know how to train where I don't just crush my body. Like today I did a 7 mile walk. I did a 2 hour walk today with a client of mine, and that was part of my training. That was written
Yeah.
down in my training program to do that today. So even during this 100 mile build up, this 300 mile build up, I wasn't like overtraining and killing myself. I would rather train every single week without getting too tired than every fourth week I feel like shit and having to take a week off. Like I don't want to do
Yeah.
that.
And
So
was that more just from your knowledge, like academically, or was it just more intuitive that you felt you knew your limits?
well, both. I mean, that's definitely coming from both lenses, but I'm a very intuitive um, coach, educator, and I'm a very intuitive athlete. So I
Okay.
teach that to my athletes too. Don't just listen to me and I tell you what to do. Like you have to go into this workout and be very in tune with your body and what it's telling you. And most people, honestly, they just work out way too hard.
Okay.
They're too high heart rate. They're too high into their threshold, their buffer zone, and they don't even spend time building their aerobic system, their foundation of really what we can build into. And most people don't even do that. When we take the time to, build a 12-week foundation of aerobic endurance, lots of walking, lots of easy, soft strength training, and
Mm.
just really build that foundation, then we can go do more higher intensity type activity. So,
See, I think that's been my mistake most of my adult life, because growing up, I was an athlete, played sports my whole life. I never really trained that crazy, but I was always playing sports year round. So that was kind of my training, right? Football, basketball, track and field. And then a little bit out of high school, kept running, but never really got serious about the weights. The mistake I would make in my 20s and 30s is I would still party obviously the diet was bad, drinking, sleep was bad. You can get away with that in your early 20s. All of a sudden, mid to late 20s, early 30s, that doesn't that doesn't fly anymore. And then the other thing is, I would make the mistake of like, oh, I'm an athlete. I could just jump in the gym and throw weights around and play ball for 3 hours. And I would make that mistake you're talking about. I would go too hard. Instead of being consistent, I would just go hard every once in a while and then burn out and then take a long break. And then, it's just been a vicious cycle. So that's a really good point that you make. I think a lot of people do that. Either they do nothing or they go too hard and they're too inconsistent.
Right. And especially in the fitness world now, it's at home stuff. And so I guess we have to keep up with the coach there or whoever's training there. And that's not what it's about too. It's still like, if we're going to decide to pivot our business into an online platform, we still have to coach people into being intuitive and listening to their body. Don't keep up with me. Like, I have 2 decades of training consistently, really, like never really taking much time off. So you can't, like, that's negligent to compare to me. Well, let's take
Right.
the steps necessary for you in 2 years to go do some amazing stuff.
Yeah, I remember doing like, Insanity with Sean T or whatever on,
Right.
on a beach body. And he'd always have like the one girl that would do like the modified version. And then you'd look like, man, I'm doing the modified version and I can't even keep up.
Do you know what's interesting? I have these guys that I'm training. They're between the ages of 33 and 50. Okay, there's 4 gentlemen. They're business guys just like you and I. They're
Yeah.
running lawn care businesses, a real estate business, and a gasoline business, right? And very successful guys. And their foundation of their fitness program over the last 9 months of them working out has been walking. And when they started with me, they were doing about 1,500 steps a day. And over the time, we have now moved their average to 12,000 steps a day. And these are normal guys who we bullshit. We talk about dude things. They run their business like normal dudes who I've gotten them to click their mindset into looking at this as a lifestyle pattern, not just something you go to the gym a couple times a week,
Yeah.
but even beyond when you see me, your coach, you should be moving and focusing on getting steps. So every night, literally every night at 7 p.m., we get everybody's text of their steps. And on a low day, they have 10,000, bro, now. And that's a huge adjustment in their lifestyle, which has also been a catalyst to them losing actual weight on a
Because they're more
scale,
conscious of it. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
total activity. And that's what it's about. It's not about, like, for instance, take the example, you hire your personal trainer twice a week. It's $80 a session. It's $160 a week. That's $320 every 2 weeks. That's $700 a month, and some people pay that to go see a personal trainer. If all they do is go to their personal trainer without moving the dial in any other aspect of their life, they're wasting money in a way. They're going to get stronger if they show up to their training session. They will
Yeah.
gain some fitness, but they're
Yeah.
probably not going to get the ultimate result that they're looking for.
Yeah. This first month of quarantine, I didn't do so great diet wise. I think a lot of people are in that boat. But one thing I have done is I try every day, pretty much every day, even when it's raining, I get outside. Luckily, kind of live in the country. I get outside and walk a couple miles. And that's been like, at least I'm doing that every day. And then I'm ready to kind of switch up the diet and the workout, on Monday. But I was like, all right,
Well,
if I can at
how about
least
we
do
do
that.
this, bro? How about we
All
do
right.
this? How about, like, I have this program, bro. Why don't you just commit right now on a live Instagram, bro? I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you for $50, bro. It's only $100. I'll give it to you for 50, and anybody watching for 50
Okay.
bucks.
Sounds good. I'm in.
Because, dude, it's going to be so simple, and I'm going to make this so realistic for the individual. It's taking baby steps, man, because that's what it's about. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And
Awesome.
before you know it, though, someone like you in a month, you go
Yep.
from 6,000 steps. I don't know where you're at. You can look at your watch and your trends. You could go from 6,000. We'll take the steps. You're not going to go from 6,000 to 25,000. You're going to go from 6,000 to 12,000 and 11,000.
Right.
Something very doable where all of it is, you're just adding in an extra 45-minute walk every day,
Yeah.
which is going to be unbelievable for you. There's going to be more than just the physical benefit
Yeah.
of it. And I just I can't, like, I mean, for me, the way I looked at this whole home isolation things, I clicked my mindset around literally the day it happened. And it was a shift in mindset. It went from, okay, I'm going to give up alcohol. So that's number one. So I'm going
Okay.
to I'm pretty extreme with my self-discipline when I really click that on, like I'm really, really extreme with that. So
Yeah.
it ran parallel with this no alcohol thing. So I wanted to challenge. Now, don't get me wrong, bro. In 2 days, I'm going to have a beer because I can't wait. Okay. So it's like I miss it. I'm excited to have a beer, bro.
I can't wait to
But,
have a beer with you. But yeah,
but
I haven't drank during quarantine, but
but for 30
yeah.
days I did it, and it
Good.
ran parallel with this mindset shift of not feeling sorry for myself anymore, not
Yeah.
looking back at the past and saying, oh poor me, and oh poor us. We're living like, we have to respect the situation. I
Yeah.
pray and send out nothing but positive vibes, dude, to
Of
people
course.
out there that are struggling, and some, I know people that lost jobs and their businesses are suffering, and it is tough. My business took a hit, dude. I had lost probably 3 clients just because of
Mm,
work,
yeah.
and I can't train at a gym right now. So
Right.
I've kept some people, like we train in an outdoor setting, and it's been great. But it ran parallel. I shifted my mindset to where I'm going to get freaking even leaner. I'm going to turn my mindset around. I'm going to get more clear. I'm going to get more focused on my goals and what I want out of my life. I think a lot of people, bro, I was thinking about this today on my walk. I think a lot of people between 30 and 48, 50 years old, we we hold on to shit that we're almost scared to let go, and then
Mm,
then we're really scared to change, and we're already further in our life that then we have peer pressure to change,
yeah.
and we're going to
Yeah.
hear
Yeah.
it from our peers if
Yeah.
we're changing, and then we get scared, and we're never going to change then, and we end up in our ways. And so
Yeah.
this gave me the ability to say, no, I need to disrupt this habit that I personally wasn't enjoying anymore. And so it was
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Yeah. So, everyone has different stories
Right.
and different situations. And for me personally, like, I totally agree. I think, basically 30 to, I would say 30 to 50 is really when you kind of make your mark and do the most damage. Not that you can't do it younger, not that you can't do it older, but 30 to 50 is kind of prime time as far as your career, raising a family, all that kind of stuff. I think you had kids a little bit younger, but basically, for me, I chose to not get married, not have kids. I'm, going to be 36 in June, and now I'm finally kind of open to the idea. But I had to go. I've been on such a crazy journey in that time, and I think most people in their 20s are really just, whether you had a kind of a good childhood or a bad childhood, most people are figuring it out. It's the first time you have independence. You're making all these decisions. Most people don't know shit about money. They don't know shit about nutrition. they don't know what they're doing about their faith, because everything that they were living under as kids, now they're free to kind of choose their faith, their lifestyle, their career, education. All those kind of things are being made. So some people make long-term decisions in their early 20s, right? Whether it's career, whether it's marriage, whether it's kids. And then other people, I think this generation has maybe more options than previous generations, right? So sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing, And but I think now for me, what I've experienced is that letting go of a lot of that stuff. When you kind of in your 20s, I think you kind of act out and process your childhood trauma, your misconceptions, and you see what's yours, right? You try your parents' worldview, and sometimes that works. Sometimes you need to let some of that go. You try being in a certain relationship because you think that's what you want. Sometimes that doesn't work out. And again, it's different for everyone, but for me, this last couple of years has been that transformative journey of letting go of everything. And now I'm at that place where I'm saying, what do I want to build from here? I've had a tough life. I've had a great life. I wouldn't change anything. It is what it is. I've had heartbreak. I've had amazing things happen. And now, with all of that, from everything I've been through, what now do I want to build? Almost that alchemist, like, how can I take everything I've been through and from here move forward with who I really want to be and what I really want to do in this life? And I agree. I think the next 10, 20 years is our prime time to really kill it on every level: family, business, spiritually, travel, all that good stuff. So I agree, man.
Yeah, for sure. And it's always it's a work in progress. That's something I've learned too, is for now on, it's no longer Justin Levine standing on a podium and preaching some word. It's me in the trenches, like getting dirty, bro, with the people that want to be in my network or in my quote unquote tribe,
Yeah.
and I'm like excited for that aspect of it, because I was in a way living up to a persona in the gym world that I ended up not liking anymore. And that was hard, you know. So when that was over, I actually then opened up to who I was. And so it was a blessing in disguise. So, and go back to all the experiences, you know, like everybody is such on a unique path and journey and chapter. And I think right now, especially we should not like just judge so much.
Right.
You know, I think you judge in a way like you should have opinions about spooky shit. Like if we see somebody come around the corner right now and
Right.
they look spooky, like we should judge that situation, like have an intelligence about that. But in terms of people, the way they view things and they do or do not, like, dude, I don't have the energy and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
worry for that. Like I'm doing
Right.
my own with my
Right.
family and my
Right.
relationships, right?
And I think, yeah, I think what it is, what I've seen in a lot of cases, judgment is jealousy. So,
Yeah.
and I've struggled with this myself.
Yeah.
When I've seen people step into themselves or be bold or do things that I wish I could do, and in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, well, that's not fair. But I'm also realizing, like, well, I'm holding myself back. I should be celebrating whatever they're doing and not feel like them succeeding is somehow in any way diminishing my ability to succeed. And but deep down, a lot of times it's just
It's
judgment is
true.
jealousy of like, wow, they had the boldness to say what they think or do what they want to do, and now they're succeeding. And I'm saying, well, I wouldn't do that. And it's because, yeah, maybe you're being held back by fear. Maybe you would do that if you didn't care what people think, and you're just jealous because they don't care what people think. And it's not always
Right.
the case, but a lot of times, you've heard of Drew Manning? I'm sure, right? Fit to fat to fit or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I love that story, and I feel like I'm on a similar journey because, like I said, I was an athlete growing up, was always kind of in good shape, just, had good genetics, was played sports. And then bad lifestyle, depression, whatever you want to call it, it just let myself go physically. And I remember as an athlete always judging people that were out of shape. I remember I was in high school, just, freaking stud, shredded, like playing sports. And I saw my uncle and he was like beer gut, like, and I was like, dude, how'd you get so, like, I had seen pictures of him when he was in high school. I was like, man, how'd you let yourself go? Like, I'm just talking shit, being so judgmental, right? Like, oh, it's never going to happen to me. Like, and I think some of those, we all have these judgments based on different things. I grew up with a dad that was alcoholic, abusive, right? So, and he would be super abusive one night and the next day, like act like nothing happened and apologize or say,
Mm.
oh, it was my sickness, it was my illness, it wasn't me. And so I just developed this anger towards quote unquote addicts, right? Because I'm like, it's not a disease. You fucking chose to pick up the bottle. You chose to hit us. Like, so I struggle with addiction because ultimately somewhere along the line you made a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Now if you're harming yourself, that's one thing, but if your addiction leads you to harm others, I don't have that much compassion for that. If you become abusive because of your addiction beyond just your own self, I still to this day don't have a lot of compassion for that. And people say, oh, well, usually people that abuse others means that they were abused themselves. And I'm like, probably. That still doesn't make it okay. I was abused and I've never hurt anyone in that way. So for me, when it came to food and it came to that, I was like, oh, well, they're fat because they choose, right? They're out of shape because they choose. At any point, you can control your eating and get in the gym. And why I bring up the Drew Manning thing is because he said the same thing. He gained, I think, 50 pounds, 70 pounds or whatever. I think it was like 75 pounds. And a couple of
Mm.
people have done this journey. He intentionally gained 75 pounds so that he could relate better to his clients. He gained
Right.
75 pounds and then whatever, 6 months later lost it. But what he talked about, he goes, it wasn't just, he said, I thought I was doing this to show off and show people how easy it was. If you follow my plan, you could change your body. What I wasn't ready for was the mental challenge, the depression, the low energy, the self-image that suffered. He said, I wasn't ready for how hard it was to get going, how hard it was mentally to overcome all of the things that happened in my life after I gained the weight.
Mm.
And once I went through that transformative journey, both mentally and physically, he said, I was never the same. And now I was much better prepared to serve my clients because I understood the mental and emotional dynamics of fitness. It wasn't just the science. It wasn't just the diet. It wasn't just the movements. It was what's going on in your head, what's going on in your heart that's keeping you, you know what I mean? So for me, that's been the journey I've been on. And we've talked about this. I talked about it with Randy. when he first met me, he's like, dude, how are you not already successful? You know, so many people like da 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 da. I'm like, honestly, man, the two biggest issues for me have been money and health. And it's a family problem, and it's embarrassing to admit, but your charisma only gets you so far. Your gift only gets you so far. And through this journey, I've done so much work spiritually and mentally and emotionally. Now the only thing left to do is make money and get healthy. So fortunately, I've been able to turn things around business wise, and I'm on a good path financially. And now the last piece is that fitness piece. I've felt like I've never had every area of my life working together. It's always been one or the other. And now I'm ready to kind of move forward in that place of, it's never perfect, but I just want to be optimal in all those core areas of my life. So anyway, what do you think about that?
No, I respect everything you just said, bro, because it makes so much sense. And it's very, like, I use the word agnostic, like meaning everybody can take a little bit from what you just said, because I think there comes a point where we have to focus on ourselves and look at all angles of our life, right? I was, again, I was the fit guy, right? The motivational speaker
Mm,
that on the outside it all looked fun, you know, it all looked kind of perfect and cherry, and really on the inside there was havoc going on.
mm.
And so, like, that's just, it's good to go through those experiences, because
And
that's
what
what
did that
makes us all
havoc look?
much better.
What was the havoc like rooted in?
Well, I always take responsibility, man. I mean, it's always stepping up and figuring out the baggage and the muddy waters that needs to be kind of cleared out if I really want to express my true potential as a human, not just the speaker, not just a runner, not just the family man, not just the husband, not just the dad, but as a human.
Mm,
How do I release some of these things that have been holding me back, you know? And again, I'm going to just go back to it. It was an alcohol habit that was just sneaking into my life. That, you know, it started off when I was 18 years old and having fun and going to
mm-hmm.
parties, and through
Yeah.
college having fun going to parties. Early in business, you know, we're making money, we're having fun, we're going to
Right.
parties, we're going
Right.
out.
Right.
Then later on, now I have kids and I'm still kind of trying to do some of this stuff, and what the fuck am I doing, dude?
Yeah.
And then I kept
Yeah.
going, and then I'm dealing with some relationship issues,
Yeah.
and now I'm utilizing it to just get the fuck away.
Right.
And now I'm masking, and now it's not going in a good direction. So now it may look like I'm still having fun and going to parties. I'm actually hurting inside, and I wanted to get rid of this habit probably months before, but I just
Mm.
wasn't ready, or I didn't, or it wasn't the opportunity. I don't know, dude. But
Yeah.
now I'm at a point where I was able to disrupt it and showcase, like, my true potential again. I feel it. Things have changed and transformed, and now I have to go and let time be the determining one, you know, to show what I can do now.
Mm.
And that's being able to control that habit of that too, and not let it slip back into where it's having a couple drinks before the drinks. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. 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 No, I mean, I've definitely,
And the reason why I talk, and I'm totally okay with talking about this, because I
yeah,
know I'm not the only one.
of course. Of
You know what
course.
I'm saying? And I've lived a lifestyle where I think we all get caught up in kind of whatever it is. It could be food, it could be alcohol,
Yeah.
it could be gossiping, it could be whatever, whatever, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting you bring that up. Obviously, there's a lot of different vices, and people,
Yeah.
it was funny because growing up, because my dad was so extreme, it was easy for him to be the villain. But lo and behold, as we got older, I realized how much my mom was actually complicit. You talk about your mom being a saint and going to church, and that was my mom. What we realized is she actually hid in church. She
Mm,
avoided facing anything at home, kind of left us with our dad to deal with
mm,
that situation out of fear, and also was very codependent. And unfortunately, my mom passed away a couple years ago of cancer. But it was a really tough ordeal, not just to go through the whole cancer journey, but it was tough because she had gotten remarried and was in an abusive relationship. Again, same thing as my dad. Like, she just had a propensity for choosing bad men and putting them above her kids. And so at the end of her life, it was still in that behavior. And it was a huge slap in the face. The hardest thing we've ever had to go through, losing her, watching her go from a normal person to whittling away because of pancreatic cancer. And then on top of that, all of our childhood issues being drudged up
mm.
because she was doing it again.
Right.
And it was just like, ah. So for me, I look at it like, to me, I've always been, because of what I've been through, I think I have a natural capacity, and then I went through some hard things at a young age. So I just was always a little tougher, a little wiser, a little maybe more mature than the average kid, and was always able to kind of be that rock for my family, and always had the capacity to kind of handle a lot of craziness and emotional stuff. And I did the same thing when all that was going down. This is right before we met. When all that was happening, I was like, I got it, guys, don't worry, I'll handle everything. So I was handling all the legal stuff, all the paperwork, all the medical stuff, and we kind of, we did it as a team, as a family. But I was like mentally like, oh, I got this is mine. And then when it all ended, I literally, like, being at the gym and putting too much weights and trying to PR, and the bar basically the bar fell on my face, of life, so to speak. And for a couple years, I was just a zombie, because I just gave up. And I literally, so I had already been in quarantine because I was like, I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just feel like I lost everything. Businesses fell apart, relationships fell apart. And that was probably, I was at my worst point not too long before we met. And it was reconnecting with Randy and working on that event and just being involved in that community helped me to slowly but surely kind of rebuild and bring that back together. So when we all connected, there was definitely something there that was special. And obviously there's different levels of relationship, and you go through different things. And I've even seen you in the last year, and who you were before was awesome. But I also, like you said, it was kind of that you had a certain image, you had a certain tone. And this last year, I remember I was like, man, Justin's going through something. I don't know exactly what it is, but I recognize it because I had been through similar things in my own way. And there's just an authenticity and a humility and a compassion that comes from going through your own tragedy and your own loss and your own change that you cannot manufacture. You cannot get at a conference. You cannot get from a podcast. You can't read in a book. You have to just go through it. And you have to take that pain and use it in a transformative way. And then if you can do that, not only will you change your life, but then your message has meaning and actually can change people's lives. Otherwise, you're just repeating something you read in a book,
Fluff.
right?
Fluff, I call
Fluff.
it.
But if it's your story and your process, like what you're saying today, you can't deny that. You can't deny it. And so I appreciate you being willing to be vulnerable and talk about some real shit.
Yeah, man. It's been definitely a journey, and we have to feel it, And I think there's some things we can learn from other stories.
Sure.
Like, we shouldn't induce stupid shit on purpose just to feel.
I'm not advocating that at all, though.
Right? Like, oh, well, he's like, if he's doing it that way, then I'm gonna do
Yeah,
it.
might as well. Yeah. Let me just ruin my
Though,
life real quick so I can learn
yeah,
some things.
just
No,
to see it, because I just want a learning lesson.
don't do that. Yeah.
No, please don't do that, right? But it's real, dude. It is real, and I think both of our just being able to be a little bit more vulnerable. I've
Yeah.
been watching a lot of Brene Brown, and
Yeah. She's
and
so
she
good.
talks about like vulnerability as being the new superhero power, right? And
Yes.
because that gives you strength when
I
you're
love,
able to do it, and you're just able to be okay with the shit that we went through and are still
yeah.
going through. Like, I'm totally okay with it, and I'll talk. I don't care. I'll talk about it because
Yeah.
it's great.
I literally have said that. Like, we had, anytime you're dealing with a lot of people, you're going to have issues, right? Whether it's your family, whether it's a business. And I remember one time Randy had me speak in front of the whole room, and it was a couple hundred people in the room. And, like, just based off of business standards, I had no business addressing the crowd, right? But he was like, get up here and tell your story. And then I told people, yeah, vulnerability is my superpower, because I'm willing to tell you about my truth and what I've been through. But you're also, at the end of the day, you are trained, you are a coach, you do have knowledge. So it's an interesting method, because basically the vulnerability draws people in, but then that's when you can hit them with the truth, right? If you just
Right,
start throwing blows right off the bat, most people don't want to hear that.
right.
But if they trust you and they see you're vulnerable, then all of a sudden you can hit them with the truth. You can hit them with the coach, like a coach does, gets in your face because they care. If you have that trust, then you can see people go to the next level because they're willing to actually hear you because they trust you.
And I've seen anecdotally, I've seen that in my coaching over the last 2 months. I've seen more trust. I've seen, just because I've I reworked my communication. I reworked my emotional intelligence. So now I'm able to um, just have a better lens watching people and look at them in a different context than just, hey, go do this. Like, where are you
Right.
feeling? Where are you at right
Right.
now emotionally? And how then can I then offer a communication that you can understand? Like, how do I speak your language? I shouldn't just speak mine. I
Right.
should speak your language, and there are subtle ways to figure that out within two sentences of working with somebody. So
Right. Well, a couple things that are very personal and very private, obviously, are your religion or lack thereof, right? Your finances and your health, right? Religion, I don't like to get into because that's so broad and so vague. Obviously, we're spiritual people. However you want to define it, that's a different conversation. That's a
hmm
very personal, very broad conversation. With financial stuff and with fitness stuff, it's pretty simple. Even though it's very complex and it's very, intricate, at the end of the day, it's pretty simple. Don't
hmm
spend more than you earn. Don't eat more than you burn. Those are pretty much universal concepts that people try to avoid.
pretty simple.
But for me, working in real estate, working in financial services now, if someone trusts you enough to have that conversation, because it's funny how our diet and our spending are very much linked. If you're someone who's conscious about what you're doing with your energy, time, and money, that's probably going to reflect in your bank account, and it's also probably going to reflect on the scale. So just talk about that real quick because we only got a few more minutes, but just talk about how just basically we repeat the cycles with our spending habits and with our diet and exercise habits. We kind of perpetuate some of those negative emotional issues.
Sure. I mean, I don't know. It's to think about how much money I've saved without drinking a lick of alcohol in 30 days, bro.
What do you guess? What do you think?
600 to 750 bucks, because then you add the restaurants and like you go buy your buddy's drinks because you already have four drinks in and you're now in the happy mood. So, I think alcohol can also help it in finances, being able to control the things that we're spending money on, that especially if we may not have the resources to.
Right.
So if, like, I have a couple friends that money's not necessarily an issue and in their drinking, I can't compare to them and say, well, I'm going to go do it too. Just
Well,
like,
it's the same thing if we're out. Like you can eat in a way that maybe other people can't because you're
sure,
going to go on a marathon tomorrow.
sure, don't compare to me. Right. Don't
Yeah,
compare to me. I
yeah.
won't.
My machine burns different than yours.
Exactly. Right. They're like, well, he's doing it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just understanding that. But yeah, you're right. I think in everything, let's all actually take this time to actually slow down.
Yes.
Slow down everything. Slow down the way we talk, the way we listen, slow down the way we breathe, slow down in our exercise actually to get more
Mm.
productive and more efficient with it. Slow down in when we're with our kids, slow down when we're driving, slow down when we're in a business meeting, when I'm speaking on stage. Slow everything down. So then when I want a result, I'm going to look at fitness and I'm going to slow it down. Okay, I got to look at my watch at the end of the night and I should be at 10,000 steps. So let's slow everything down and I'm just going to start walking more. I'm going to do micro workouts. I'm going to do 20 push-ups on the hour every single, and then the next day is going to be 20 squats every hour and whatever. It's really,
Hmm.
really simple. It's just slowing everything down and accepting the time that, it takes to get the result that we're looking to get.
That's really good. So, last thing, everybody that I've talked to, I recommend you do this actually while you can. But I've talked about it for years, doing a vlog and a podcast, and I just never did it for various reasons. And I was planning, okay, 2020 is the year I'm finally going to do it, and then this happens. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start. It's not perfect. It's not exactly how I'd like it to be, but I'm going to start. And so we've been doing this for a couple weeks now. It's been awesome. We've got some amazing people, including yourself. So will you commit to a future like in studio podcast and maybe like a day in the life vlog?
Oh, 100%. I'm in.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So the last thing is leave us with your last thoughts and then also where we can find you and what projects to look for through, what you're doing in the next little while.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just, stay, just stay open to always self-improving, you know, and use this time to dive deep a little bit. Like we still have a couple more weeks where we're going to be home isolated. Use this time to meditate more and to read a good book and to do some more push-ups and just pretend in a way that you're in a jail cell and you're committed to moving through this and getting better through the process, you know. And I have a podcast. It's called the Justin Levine podcast, and it's talking about mindset, fitness, lifestyle, and kind of staying in my lane, you know. And but we kind of tap into some spirituality, and because I think it's all connected.
Sure.
We talk about emotional intelligence. I talk about family. I talk about my training, and just to give an outlook on in the trenches type of person. Um, and I just launched my virtual program. So we start Tuesday where we're going to be training people through Zoom, through Facebook Live, through private Facebook pages. So I just launched that last week, and we already have about 7 people signed up. So that's awesome.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
we're only opening it up to, you know, probably 5, 6 more, because I don't want too many people in the group. This is my first run at it, and we're excited. We already have all the schedule. It's going to be live Zoom workouts, simple stuff, body weight. You don't need weights. Don't let that be the excuse. To be honest, what I want people to do is stop watching my damn videos and get up and do it with me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like stop watching the guy do the workouts on Instagram Live. Don't watch anymore. Go do what he's doing.
Right.
And so that's what I want in my program. Like, I'm not going to just sit there and put fluff in you. Like, we got to get up and move, and we got to take advantage of the situation we're in. My program is not going to be just some fitness plan. It's going to be a personal development plan where fitness is a part of that. And so one of the first activities we're going to do is called this life questionnaire that I put together, and it's just asking some questions so we can
Awesome.
meditate on it and learn from it. And so I'm excited for that too. So, but like I said, anybody listening or watching this right now they have to send me a DM, and I'll give it to them for $50 instead of 100.
Awesome. I'm going to do that right now. We're out of time. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate you. Have a
Thank
great
you, man,
day.
too.
Say hi to the
Blessings.
kids. We'll be in touch. All right. Thank you
All right,
so
man.
much.
All right, man,
Appreciate
bro.
you.
Hey.